Hey everybody, I'm Connor Okuda. This is my big brother Tommy. This this is my dad, Tom Okuda III, and our guest Frank Pittner. This is a new segment. We're calling Philly Fan Chats. And Dad and Frank, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Um, so my first question is obviously the stadiums in sports are as big as the events themselves. So what makes a stadium like the Link so special to you guys?
Frank, you want to go with that first?
Well, you always have a point of comparison, and since we've been around for a while, we have the old Spectrum, we have the Vet as comparison points. So when the Link came along, it was a new age stadium. You had open ends, you had real grass on the fields. The seating and the viewing was better. I guess with the modernized scoreboards and all the technology, the games were just much more exciting.
And the game's more enjoyable at the Link. I mean, it's a football-only stadium. I know there's concerts and other
Yeah.
things there, but the Vet was in its time thought to be state of the art. There were 4 or 5 stadiums just like it around the country, right? It was Pittsburgh, Three Rivers, I think Cincinnati, I think a couple other ones, and they were multi-purpose. You do baseball, that they were laid out for that, but it doesn't make it good for any one sport. I mean, the Vet was a great place to see a game. It had a lot of history at the Vet, but if you're a football fan, being in a stadium like the Link, it's a different experience.
Yeah, and how do you tell me what makes the Link so special to you?
Yeah, so obviously I didn't get to experience the vet, what I mean? But
Yeah,
people always talk about just the characteristics of the vet. You said that conditions weren't great, and they said, "Oh, it's a toilet, but it's our toilet." Kind of.
yeah,
So obviously the link is a little bit upgraded from that, but I think there are times where it still has like that kind of homey feel, community feel, and all Philly sports it kind of has like a special feel to it whenever you're home. So I think it definitely adds something to it. And, I mean, just the crowd is awesome. And, it's for me, it's been a great experience. Just like growing up, being able to go to the link and everything. I love it.
yeah,
I'd say one of the downsides is the parking.
yeah.
It's ridiculous getting in and out of
Parking
there.
was freaking nightmare. Was it like that at the Vet or the Spectrum?
It wasn't. I think a lot of people took public transportation more. There was one less building there. So, no, there's a lot more parking available. The times are different, so you really can't argue. But, tailgating wise, I think Philadelphia has some of the best tailgating. It always did, but now it's organized, it's friendly, we're still Philly, it's blue collar, but the tailgating to me is as much part of the whole event as the game itself.
Yeah, I I would agree. Um, I think Lincoln Financial and Citizens Bank and Wells Fargo do a tremendous job with like the fan um, experience. And I wanted to ask you guys what do you think the the multi-sport stadiums are primarily like indoors now, like with hockey and basketball as opposed to football and baseball like they were before.
I mean, personally, I think hockey and basketball can be played in the same stadium.
Yeah,
Similar type of layouts. Baseball is really difficult. You have to fit, and that was the thing about the vet. You had to fit a diamond into the vet, just configure it, make sure it would work, and then it left a lot of gaps when you put a football field in. The football field is rectangular. Hockey and basketball are pretty much the same configuration with the basketball court being slightly smaller, but then you can put courtside seats on those places. So the biggest, we're lucky. Philadelphia has all 4 major sports. 5 went down soccer, and like we do, soccer becomes very popular.
Yeah.
I just think we're in a great city, a great sports city, and to be able to have that, I don't think it would make sense to have a separate basketball and hockey stadium, where with baseball and football absolutely makes sense.
yep,
Yeah, I would just say the same thing in a way. The crowd size for all the 4 major sports is very variable. Yeah, the ones that are Wells Fargo for hockey and basketball That's a 25,000 to 30,000 crowd. Baseball's more like 45,000, football 65,000. And so for the size of the crowds alone, separate stadiums make sense, except for the overlap of basketball and hockey. And then for the fan itself, your viewing distance from the field, whether you're so high up you can't see, those kinds of things all come into play. So I think the stadiums in Philadelphia are perfectly designed for the fan. With regards to it, the viewing, and then all the extra things that you can do at each individual ballpark or stadium that's centered to the sport that you're going to see.
Yeah. The sports complex, that's it. Having all those stadiums in one spot, it makes it a traffic nightmare. But living in Philadelphia, you know what to expect. You know every game is going to be on. You know when there's a concert. I mean, you know where to avoid. 95 or Broad Street, and when not. Yeah. Yep. But they, Xfinity Live. Props to Comcast for putting that in there. That's a great place. If you don't have a ticket, you just want to go down there and be part of it. You can hang out at Xfinity.
Yeah, for sure. Now that we'll transition out of the stadiums and then go into the players that played in those stadiums. What are maybe your Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia athletes?
I'm a lot younger than friends.
I think we're within 6 months of each other, actually, or maybe 3.
You're saying best or our favorite?
One for each sport. Put them on.
Our best. One for each sport. Yeah.
Are we talking the old stadiums now, or just all time?
All time.
Well, I will say I have a pretty easy one. I don't know if they're the best players, but they're my favorite players.
I think I know Frank's football.
My football is Brian Dawkins. Brendan Moore is my hockey. Mo Cheeks is my basketball, and Rollins is my Phillies.
Yeah, for me it's a little bit tougher. Football, wow. I mean, the Eagles have had so many superstars. I'm a defensive-minded person. I'm going to have to go with Seth Joyner as my number one football. Just look forward to watching him.
Yeah.
Baseball, I mean, again, I'm torn between old school and new school. Greg Luzinski, I remember being a kid just listening to transistor radio.
Yeah.
I listened to Phillies games, just sitting on my steps, and Luzinski and Schmidt, but Luzinski was probably my favorite back then. Coming into the newer times, Mitch Williams. Again, I know that's not new, but just an exciting player to watch and stories, and then John Kruk would be my second. My favorite John Kruk is when he sold his number to Mitch Williams for 2 cases of beer.
I wonder if he still has any of those beers left.
I doubt it.
I think Kruk probably drank everything.
Basketball, I have to say, Darryl Dawkins, maybe an inspirational player, and Charles Barkley. It's kind of a tie there for me.
Yeah,
those two, were instrumental.
Barkley would be my second, I think.
Yeah, and then hockey. My mom, your grandma, was a huge hockey fan. I'm going to say Reggie Leach. She always adored Reggie Leach.
Was Reggie Leach on the 70s teams, or did he?
70s, maybe into the 80s, but I don't think he played much in the 80s.
Okay.
Tommy?
So for me, Flyers, obviously probably more old school like that. Bobby Clark, I think, is probably one of the better. Growing up, for me, like Frank, for the Phillies, I always loved Jimmy Rollins. He was always my favorite. I played shortstop or number 11 because of him. But I mean, it's hard not to say that Mike Schmidt's one of the greatest Phillies ever, right?
Yeah.
And not to say that Bryce Harper's on that line yet, but he's been only not long. He's already made a great impact, so he's getting up there for me so far. Basketball, I grew up loving Allen Iverson. So just the way he completely changed the game and changed the game on the court and off the court, just the way players present themselves, and kind of was able to bring in that uniqueness and everyone had their own type of special flair and that. So he completely changed the game. And growing up, I loved Allen Iverson. And now Joel Embiid, I love Joel. I mean, it's been almost 10 years now. He's been on the Sixers, and we met him once at the NFL draft.
Yep.
Great guy.
Giant of a human being.
Giant. Just an awesome guy. Easy guy to he gets a lot of flack in Philly, but he's a man. And then Eagles, it's hard to go with Brian Dawkins. I mean, growing up, he was always a man. I grew up loving Deshaun Jackson as a receiver. I mean, just the way he opened up the field is so fun to watch. But yeah, so I'd probably have to say Ryan Coffey.
I can't disagree with anyone. Anyone said, well, Connor, but what do you think?
For me, I'll start with football. It's probably Brian Dawkins, and I took a lot of his motivational tactics into like my own teams, like just that uber confident guy who just always expresses confidence in himself and his teammates, and that's something I love about him. He played with his hair on fire. Yeah, and for
Okay, can I change my vote to Brian Dawkins?
Make it unanimous.
Sorry, Seth.
Maybe Rob.
for hockey, this is gonna surprise all three of you, but I would think Eric Lindros, simply because he kind of changed the game. He was kind of one of the first power forwards in the NHL, even though he had a bunch of concussions because of his physical style of play. But yeah, he was a must-watch player every time he stepped on the ice. And then for me, I grew up loving Ryan Howard.
No surprise.
Every one of his at bats was must watch television. If I can talk today, geez. But yeah, Ryan Howard, and then for basketball, probably Allen Iverson.
Fair.
Yeah, not bad picks from anyone.
Yeah.
Nothing too controversial, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, well, in the Eric Lindros, I think he's probably one of the most unappreciated Philadelphia superstars. It's just controversial. I mean, everyone had such high expectations, and I think he hit a lot of them, but people just don't realize.
Yeah.
That's a shame. He was so like, he could have done so much more. You're right. The concussions, he had some medical issues. He played hard.
Yeah.
He was a Philadelphia blue blood. He fit right into the city.
He definitely did. Let's transition. What are some of your most memorable experiences with Philadelphia sports pre-2000?
Oh, that throws a wrench in. Nah.
2000, that eliminates you guys.
Yeah,
right?
I can't say.
Well, I think undeniable. Tom and I were at the Duke Kentucky NCAA tournament game, that classic that was at the Spectrum. I think it was 100, 302.
100, 302, yeah.
It was. We were there because of Temple basketball. We were season ticket holders for Temple basketball, and Temple was the host university, so we were privileged to get seats to the Sweet 16 and round of 8. And so we were at that game, and we were actually approached walking into the game to scalp our tickets for some extremely high amount of money. And we just looked at each other and said, "Nah, we'll go in."
Yeah. We
That was the
two
best
friends
decision we ever made.
We had 4 tickets. Some guy wanted to buy 2. So we're looking at each other. We're just out of college. Like, we could take a couple grand and go to the bar and freaking own the place. But no. We offered the guy, say, buy all 4. He said no. It's the best decision we ever made. Craig and I made a pact that we would never, ever scalp a ticket. We would scout before ourselves, but we would never sell one of our tickets. That's to me, that's a life lesson right there. Chris is like, probably still the greatest basketball game ever. ESPN comes out with their top 10, top 50 every year, and it's still number 1. So the vet, well, if I can push it to maybe post 2000, I took one of my sons to an Eagles game, and then we went to a Phillies playoff game after that, and kept him out till 3 a.m. on South Street.
Yeah, just one or both.
It was just one at the time. He actually caught a practice ball from Shane Victorino, dropped my buddy's hat on the field, and had it both thrown up to him again. It's just, I mean, that's what Philly sports is about, right? Being able to take your kids and have these memories. You go with your group of friends. You know, you talk about, I mean, so many great moments in Philadelphia sports.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at the Sixers, you know, with Dr. J, hockey, 76, and even though we were relatively young, you know, we were both under 10 at the time. But I remember sitting there and watching those games with my parents. I can't tell you that I remember play-by-play. It was just the excitement that Philadelphia got. I mean, Philadelphia just gets around their teams when they're winning. When they're losing, they're tough on them. But they never give up.
Yeah, when and especially the call by and correct me if I'm wrong, but Gene Hart when the Flyers won the Stanley Cup, lives in not infamy in the city, but fame in the city. Like that's one of the all-time calls in Philadelphia sports. I think
We've had great commentators in all of our sports.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
some that you just hear their voice and all the emotions of whatever experiences that you've had
Harry
just like
Cowles,
starts back.
Maurice, yeah. Wow.
But in Flyers games, I've been to plenty of Flyers playoff games, and it's nice to have Kate Smith come back every game and sing part of her song.
Yeah.
I wonder with AI now. They're
Yeah,
probably,
yeah.
it's gonna
Probably
be
she'll be standing there.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I mean, I think for me, every game is exciting, and there's so many things happening. But anytime you're in the playoffs, whether it be the NL pennant, when the Phillies, I think they beat the Braves, and just very exciting there. Eagles Dallas is always great, like when you beat them in the playoffs. Just incredible memories.
Yeah.
I do remember probably the first playoff game in the link that after the game we're walking down and the ramp starts shaking. Apparently the link was designed to do that, but the crowd was just so rowdy and then just pounding their feet, and everyone started getting scared. It almost felt like an earthquake.
It took one of my moments.
Yeah.
The David Akers field goal in
Yeah.
2006. They were playing the Giants. But for me, I was afraid of heights. So we were in section 222, so we were at the top and coming down the ramp and it's shaking. I remember like freaking out. That was one of my first like any sports memories, but I mean specifically Eagles. I remember that as a kid. You know, that brings me back 20 years now.
Yep. With that being said, I know you guys maybe mentioned some in our pre 2000 segment, but let's transition to post 2000. So some of your favorite Philly sports moments post the year 2000.
I mean, I'll go back to the Phillies game against San Diego, that rainy day to get into the World Series. It was Game 5,
Yeah.
and the entire game it was raining. There were puddles around the bases. I could not believe that Major League Baseball had a 9-inning game in that weather. But the fans were there. Most people stood because the entire game, and then you got the Bryce Harper home run, and it took all the weather away. And it was like it was the sunniest day ever.
That's awesome.
How about when the Phillies won the World Series, right? The
Oh,
last game,
yeah.
the last game was called off because of snow, and they had to replay what the last.
It was rain, I think.
Was it rain?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I thought it was snow, but
It
okay.
was,
Yeah, that was an example. They called
Yeah.
off that one for rain, and then we sat in the rain
Yeah.
against San Diego for an entire game.
and then the game was postponed for like 2
2
days,
days.
and then freaking.
And they finished the last couple innings and they ended up winning and had the parade a couple days later.
Yeah.
I want to check you on that. I usually don't contradict you, Connor, but I think it was snow.
I'm pretty sure it was
You're
rain.
probably right.
It was wet weather. Let's call it juice.
Yeah. I remember us watching that game 5 on TV in our house in South Street, and I don't know how to remember this, but before that final pitch was thrown, you told me we're gonna celebrate after the game, and I remember after Bradley strikes out Eric Kinsky, I screamed like a little girl. I was just so excited. We got outside, people were high-fiving us. That's probably like one of my favorite sports moments.
And that's the thing about sports, right? It just brings people together. We're in a tough world now where, everyone's divided.
Yeah.
But, sports just brings everyone together. And you just forget who you are. If you're a fan, you walk out in the streets of Philadelphia now, we're in Eagles, you hear Go Birds. It's still.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that World Series has a special moment for older people and younger people, because for older people, it was a drought of championships amongst all the sports for such a long time. And so we were ate it. And then the younger generations were like, wow, this is what we in Philadelphia like. We're going to parade every year, So, but it was, I lived in Center City, and I remember it was on Halloween Day. And I think there were so many people that came into the city for that parade that, it was difficult getting home. The train stations were so overlogged and things like that. And
businesses shut down.
Yeah.
They gave people off. And schools closed early. It was.
Yeah, but it was
Very
a celebration to never forget.
Hey, Connor, how about a shout out to our sponsor, the pub at St. George and Brigantine
Oh,
for hosting us.
Of course. I was actually just getting to that. I wanted to thank the Pub at St. George for being such gracious hosts. Um, great food. Great, great bar. Nice people. So it's a good spot if you're in the Brigantine area.
The best dirty Shirley you can get.
Come out. Yep. Yeah. Thank you to them, and I just want to thank my dad and Frank for coming on. We
Our
really
pleasure.
appreciate it. Thank you for introducing this new segment.
And Connor, actually, I want to thank you. I just got to say, I was intimidated because Connor knows more about sports than probably Frank and I combined. He'll tell you, who threw the pill. Probably tell you what the pitch count was on that Brad Lidge had when he struck him out. I don't want to hear it because I know he knows it. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. Good luck.
It's
And
a cool,
everybody's
it's a
in.
cool segment, I think, just to be able to get in the minds of some, Philly fans. A lot of people like calling it WIP, but not everyone wants to sit on hold for an hour and a half. So it's good to get their thoughts out.
Yeah,
So come down to Brigantine every other week, and Connor will get you on the show.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Thank you.
of course.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Well done.